Okay, welcome everybody. I am so excited to make this recipe today. I made this one last week as a practice round and I absolutely loved it. I usually don't love pancakes because I often don't feel great after I eat them. I don't find that they're very filling, but these are packed with zucchini. So you get all the delicious parts of the pancake, but you still feel great and get lots of veggies in. And this is an awesome time of year to have recipes to use up zucchini, because if you have a garden, you have a lot of zucchini right now. So really excited. Has anyone ever made pancakes like this with lots of veggies in them?
I have, Laura.
Okay, Christina says she has. Katie, you said not recently?
No, I haven't made any.
Awesome. Have you made normal pancakes, like just plain pancakes before?
No.
Oh, this is.
I'm not sure how to do that either.
Well, I can tell you, in my experience, these are much better than just plain pancakes. They have a nicer texture, and you're just gonna feel healthier after eating them. Feel more energized and.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so that's wonderful.
Yes.
Okay, so we are gonna start with our wet ingredients, which I'm gonna do in a big bowl today. So we're gonna start with 2 eggs. So I have 2 large eggs. So go ahead and crack them into the bowl. Wonderful. And a tip to make whisking or scrambling your eggs a little easier is take the edge of the eggshell and just poke it gently into the yolk to break the yolk. It only takes a second, and for whatever reason, I find the shell is better at breaking the yolk than your fork. Not sure why, but I do find that works really well. And I'm going to take some olive oil. This is just light tasting olive oil. You don't want to use a heavy olive oil here like you would for a salad dressing. And I'm going to take my tablespoon measurement, and we need 3 tablespoons. 1, 2, 3. Excellent. Okay. And I'm going to add some sugar. Actually, I knew there was going to be something. I just need to grab it off. One moment. Home rinse off your tablespoon. I'm just going to give mine a really good wipe. And I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. Okay, our next ingredient, we have a choice. There's 2 different options. So we can use buttermilk, which is what I've got here, or if you don't have buttermilk, because I find I often don't have buttermilk on hand, you can use a combination of milk and yogurt. So it's 2 tablespoons of milk and 2 tablespoons of plain yogurt. Whisk them together really well and use that as a substitute for buttermilk. Another great substitute if you don't have buttermilk on hand is to just take regular milk and put in a squeeze of lemon juice. That'll help mimic the flavor of the buttermilk. I'm just using plain buttermilk today. I'm going to use a 1/4 cup. Goes. And the last thing for these ingredients is vanilla. I need just a half teaspoon. Yeah, half teaspoon of vanilla. Once you've got all those ingredients together, you're going to mix them up really well. have a whisk, that works really well here, or a fork, or I'm just using a spoon. Okay, wonderful. I'm just going to set that aside. Next thing that I'm going to do I've got 2 zucchini here, and I've got a cheese grater. I'm going to use the large hole on the cheese grater to grate the zucchini. Another great option, if you have a food processor with a grater attachment, you can use that instead. It'll be a little faster. I'm just chopping off the ends of the zucchini. And now I'm going to grate. Sit down for this. So we're looking for about 2 cups of zucchini. So I know if you are a home gardener, you probably have some zucchini that are very, very large. Last time I made this recipe, I had been given one from a neighbor, and I just used a half of that zucchini, and that was enough. These ones are a little smaller, so I'll probably do probably 1.5.
Laura, this is such a great way to use zucchini. I find that a lot of people, don't really know what to do with their zucchini, and sometimes like roasting it or steaming it. Some people don't like that really like wet texture. So this is so good. And I know that I'm going to love these when I make these. I've made zucchini carrot ones before, which were really good. And this literally is perfect, as you said, for August, because this is when we harvest, the zucchini, and then the carrots come out in the fall too. So it's great. And then, of course, probably, Katie may have heard of using zucchini also in muffins or like loaves or cakes. So a really nice use of zucchini when some people don't like to sort of have it on their own.
No, absolutely. I think the problem with a lot of zucchini recipes is that the texture of zucchini is very wet, right? Whereas
Exactly.
Cooking it this way, it really just melts into the batter, and you get all
That's
the
right.
nutrients and fiber without even really noticing.
Yeah, absolutely. You get that. Yeah, the fiber, and yeah, absolutely. So you're right about it kind of replaces like the banana or the applesauce in like a muffin or loaf. Here it's like a little bit part of the wet ingredients here in the pancake. So yeah, so good. I know these are gonna be so good. I can almost already taste them.
They're really good, just with a little hint of vanilla and cinnamon.
Yeah, that's interesting.
They taste like a dessert that's full of
Yeah.
vegetables, which like
Yeah.
what more could you ask for, really?
Yeah. This one definitely sounds more, as you said, with the vanilla and a little bit of sugar and cinnamon. Definitely more, like a dessert versus the carrot zucchini one that I've made before is more of like a fritter, like a supper item. So yeah, really, really good idea.
I think the recipe author, this is from Smitten Kitchen. I love her recipes. She mentions making these for her toddler in a desperate bid to get more vegetables into his diet. So
wow, good idea.
Okay, so I've grated about 1.5 of my small to medium zucchinis, and I've got the right amount. So I'm going to save this other half, and I will do something else with that, since I want to keep my ratios right. I'll just set all this aside. Okay. Now I've got my zucchini, so I've got 2 cups of zucchini, and I'm gonna add that into my wet ingredients. And I'm gonna stir really well so they get coated in all the egg. Awesome. Okay, now I'm gonna do the dry ingredients. So I've already measured my flour. I have 1 cup of all-purpose flour here. I brought this from home, so it's already in the container. So I'm just gonna mix right into this container. Okay, we've got some table salt. So I just need 1/4 teaspoon. Teaspoon of salt. We need 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Baking soda is what's going to make our pancakes nice and thick and fluffy. And we need 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. The recipe also calls for fresh nutmeg. I don't tend to keep nutmeg on hand, so I'm just going to admit it. If you have nutmeg at home, then go ahead and add it, but I promise the recipe does not suffer without it. While I'm stirring this up, one of the important things to note about this recipe is it makes pancakes that are very thick and fluffy. And as we mentioned, the zucchini is a little wet, right? So we want to make sure they're cooked all the way through. So I would just take a second from mixing your ingredients, go ahead and turn your oven on to about 200 degrees. And you're going to get a pan, a little baking tray ready to go, so that once we cook the outsides of the pancakes, you're going to slide them in the oven to keep warm and keep cooking a little bit. And that will stop them from being wet. Sorry, Katie, did you have a question?
No, I was just wondering about the oven. Was it 200 or 300?
200.
200? Okay, thanks.
Yeah, we're just putting it on low because we're truly baking them. We just want them to stay warm and
Okay.
continue cooking a little bit.
All right, thank you.
Perfect. Okay, just mixing my dry ingredients. I've got everything. So that's great. Mix some things around. Okay. So now I'm ready to put all my ingredients together. I've got my zucchini, which is in all my wet ingredients, and I'm gonna just combine the dry. Then I'm gonna mix them up. I want to make sure I scrape down the sides of the bowl really well so that all the flour does get mixed in and wet. Don't want any dry lumps of flour. Got a nice cohesive batter here. It's not the prettiest, but it's great. Okay, now I've got a hot plate here, but if you're at home, of course, you're using your stove. Just turn that on to medium. And I have a large nonstick pan. And I don't have butter today. I'm just going to use a little bit more olive oil. But if you have butter or margarine, I recommend using that to coat your pan before you start. I also find when you're cooking pancakes, it's really important to get your pan nice and hot. So it's always good to start with just one. pancake for your first batch. Even though it's not really a batch because it's just one, just because you want to give that pan and your cooking surface lots of time to get nice and warm. That's gonna give you better pancakes. To measure out your pancakes, we're going to use a 1/4 cup measurement. Just gonna give this a moment to heat up. But once we start scooping, you're gonna use the 1/4 cup to measure out your batter. This is a great moment to tidy up, put some of your ingredients away, which I will do. Mine are just going in this little box. I will get that tidied up.
I like to do that as I cook too, Laura. I like to sort of tidy up, but I know I'm a bit of a slower cooker, but I always end up with a neat kitchen. My partner doesn't clean up as he goes, and oh, what a mess in the kitchen after.
I'm more like your partner. I'm terrible at cleaning up as I go.
Yeah.
But I love doing classes because as I'm explaining everything, I'm like, okay, now we're whereas I think if I'm like cooking for myself, I'm probably trying to do too many things at once.
Mhm.
So
I think those with the messiest kitchens, probably the best cooks though. That's my guess.
that is
I don't know if I'm as good a cook.
What else can I put away here? My dish is ready for the sink. And my pan's feeling nice and warm, so I'm gonna start cooking. So just need heat batter, and I am gonna measure it just because we want these to all be about the same size. Oh. I also wanted to talk about this tool. This is called a fish spatula. So it's extra long and skinny, and it's very, very thin, which makes it great for getting underneath whatever you're flipping and preserving all the crispy edges. So if you're ever making something that you want to make sure the texture stays nice and crisp, which these get a really lovely browned texture on them, I recommend picking up one of these fish spatulas. You can often find them just used at the thrift store, and they're truly wonderful. And I have my pan ready to go. I'm gonna pop it into, here we have a toaster oven, so I'm gonna pop that into the toaster oven when we're all done.
Laura,
Yes,
how do I know when to flip them? I'm confused.
that is a great question, Katie. So it's a very hard thing to master. So
Okay.
what we're gonna be looking for is the edges around the pancake are gonna start to look a little more solid. You also wanna look for tiny little bubbles forming in the top of the pancake. So mine isn't doing that yet. Like I said, it takes some time for the pan to really heat up. Especially the first one usually takes a lot longer, and then as you get going, those bubbles will start forming faster. But those would be my tips. Christina, do you have any tips on when to flip a pancake?
I was gonna say the exact same thing. Those little tiny bubbles come up, and I think when they pop, like they're kind of open little holes. I wasn't sure, and you would know better with this recipe if those bubbles still form between all the zucchini. But yeah, that's what I would agree with for sure.
They do. It's just gonna take a moment just with this very wet batter.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Katie, if you look carefully at your pancake, you can see, I know mine, the edges are starting to turn a different color.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a really good sign. So we're gonna keep doing that. And then we're looking for those little bubbles on top.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I see one. We're on bubble watch for the pancakes.
That's so great, Katie, that you're cooking right along with Laura. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I've got the first couple bubbles, but I want the whole surface to be kind of dotted with bubbles. So if you're not seeing any bubbles, Katie, you might want to turn
Okay.
it up a little bit.
Yeah,
Laura,
I'm seeing a few, but not many.
Yep.
Laura, do you find there's the same amount of bubbles as a plain pancake, or is it less because it's wet, or do you find it's about the same?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
there's definitely less overall.
Is there? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't made those in a while, so I wasn't sure.
I've got 3 or 4 now. How are your bubbles coming, Katie? Do you see any?
Yes, I see them now,
Yay!
and the edges are darker.
That's awesome. Yeah, I have some
Awesome.
that are popping. The other way to test is try to slide your spatula under. If it comes away still wet and gooey, you got to just take it out really carefully. So I'm going to try. Yeah, so I can't really easily move this yet. You can see it's kind of sticking to the spatula. So I'm not trying to flip this because it's just going to make a mess. So I want it to be a little more.
Okay.
But we are getting there. It's just slow.
I flipped mine over. I think the heat might be a little too high, maybe.
Okay, well just
I don't know.
turn it down. That's the nice thing about starting with one at a time. You can kind of get your pan to the right temperature, and that's gonna help.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, thanks.
I would say you want the top of the pancake to be browned, but not dark brown.
Yeah, it's kind of dark brown, so I don't know.
That's great.
Yeah.
Notice, so just turn the heat down a little bit.
Yeah, okay, I did.
To the center of my pan. Ready to go soon. Okay, and because these do take, some time, you have to wait them in the pan. Once you take them out of the pan, Katie, put them into your little tray and pop those
Okay.
into your oven. Okay?
Okay, yeah,
They'll keep cooking as you wait for the later ones in the pan. Does that make
okay. Thank you.
Yeah, it's interesting how like what you add to your pancakes can extend the time. So unrelated to these pancakes, but I do make pancakes for my kids some Saturday mornings,
Yeah.
and they prefer plain. Unfortunately, I like to load them up with like blueberries or bananas or whatever. But I often use frozen blueberries, and those ones take significantly longer on the grill. Like I use a big flat top than just the plain ones. So yeah, it really extends the time.
the thing if I'm ever trying to make pancakes for even more than just myself, even if it's just me and my husband, I get so annoyed that I'm still I feel like I'm standing at the stove forever and he's
Oh
done.
yes,
this,
I agree.
this oven trick is great because it keeps them all warm.
Yes,
They're all ready
absolutely.
at once, which is really great.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can only make so many pancakes in a pan. I use a big, like I have a flat top, but I can still only make 6 at a time, which still like, I want to make them all at once, right? So
It's true. All right, just on bubble watch over here, I've got lots of big bubbles that are starting to pop and open up. And I've got little bubbles forming around the edges. So that's a really good sign. So I'm gonna go ahead and flip. Okay.
I like that. Bubble watch.
All right, I've got room in the pan, so I'm gonna get 2 more started. Just kind of keep an eye on all of them. Joy of pancake making. The recipe says you should get about 10 to 12 pancakes out of this. I think last time I got about 9, so mine were a bit larger. But if you want to make them smaller too, Katie, you absolutely can. It's
Yeah, okay.
totally up to you. Smaller pancakes.
Easier to flip for now if they're smaller.
Yes.
Katie, while Laura is cooking, do you have any questions, any nutrition questions regarding anything?
I like your idea with the blueberries too and the pancakes instead of,
Yeah,
I
just
don't
a
know.
sort of,
I'm usually
Yeah.
just using the Aunt Jemima and I know that's not healthy, so
like an
sometimes Mom helps me, but
yeah. Like, do you mean the Aunt Jemima pancake mix?
yeah,
Yeah.
I like
Do you
this
know-
idea better. That's healthier.
Yeah. Do you know what I
Yeah.
do sometimes? Because, you know, I don't really feel like getting up early in the morning and starting a big, you know, pancake mix at, you know, from scratch. So
Yeah.
sometimes if I know I want pancakes the night before, I'll pre-mix all my dry ingredients. Like Laura had already pre-measured her flour there, but she brought the other ingredients in to show you and demonstrate. But yeah, so on this past weekend, I pre-mixed the flour, baking soda, sugar, and salt. Yeah, so exactly what Laura put in. And then
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
yeah, and then you don't have those extra, I'm not even sure exactly what's in the pancake mixes, but it might just be that some of them may have some extra sort of different hydrogenated fats added, so you'll be skipping those if you make it from like on your own, make it from scratch. So, and it's probably ingredients you already have in your cupboard, probably.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great idea, Christina. I love
Yeah.
that.
It made my pancakes go super quick this morning, at least the making of them. So the blueberries slowed everything down, but you know.
It's not the blueberry part.
Yeah. But you know what? You can use chopped up apple. And sometimes if I have some produce that's, you know, maybe on its way out soon, like an apple with a bad side, I'll chop around it and chop the apple really small, or, you know, some ripe banana. And you could just plop that into it once, like Laura measured up the 1/4 cup and put it into the pan. And then once it's formed its circle, you can kind of place some fruit into the pancake. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great way to do it.
Yeah. We want to use all our produce. We don't want to waste anything.
Nope.
Yeah, it bothers me when I'm throwing all the produce out and I don't know what to do with it. So yeah.
You know what's another thing I do sometimes? Sometimes if I don't know what to do with it, I'll use the internet and Google like how to use like ripe pear or how to use, you know, whatever. And then I get a few new ideas. So I don't know if that might help you out sometimes.
Yeah, that would be good. Thank
Yeah.
you.
That sort of before it gets to the point of you have to throw it out, of course. So
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
happens.
it bothers me throwing the good food out and then I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do with it. So I'll Google it
Yeah.
next time. Yeah.
It might help sometimes. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I still only have one that's actually done, but I'll show you the color, which I'm pretty happy with.
Okay.
So you can see that's kind of the color you're going for. So it is definitely a
Yeah.
brown.
Yeah, I like that color. That's good.
Yeah. So it's a little
Awesome.
crispy and they're nice and fluffy on the inside. That's another great thing about this recipe.
All good.
Okay, and then the recipe also says that once they're in the pan and you get them in the oven, my toaster oven is too far away, so I'll just do them all at the end. So you want to make sure they're in that 200-degree oven for at least 10 minutes. Okay?
All right.
Even the last one, once you put your last one in, wait 10 minutes, and then you're going to take them out, and that's going to make sure they're all cooked all the way through and not wet inside.
Okay, good.
Make sense?
Yep.
Excellent.
This side goes. Another thing you might need to do, Katie, is in between batches of pancakes is add a little more butter or margarine or oil or whatever you're using to grease your pan. You want to make sure you don't run low on that grease in the pan because your pan will start to burn. And it's big.
Oh yeah, okay, good idea.
So make sure you're adding a little bit more oil or butter, whatever fat it is.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, I'm gonna do that now because the butter's starting to run out. So
I just
Yeah.
don't mind. So I'm gonna add a little bit more oil. I'm really excited, Katie, because, and Christina too, we have a grant from the Friends of the Library they're our fundraising group, so that we can buy sets of cooking equipment so that when we can all come in together, we can do classes in person again. So that'll be really
well, that'll be wonderful.
Amazing, Laura. That's wonderful.
That's great.
very, very excited about that. Not sure when that'll be. I was hoping for September, but everyone's very nervous about the fall, so we'll see. Hoping there's enough vaccinated people that we can stay open and start gathering again at the library. Because
Yeah.
nice.
That's great news.
Yeah.
Great news.
Okay, Katie. Do you not have any more questions? It's just gonna be me standing here by this pan until we're done.
No.
Pancakes are
I'm okay. Yep.
into the oven for 10 minutes. And then I would really highly recommend putting some maple syrup on before eating them.
Well, that would be good. Yeah.
Really great.
Sounds good.
Well, thank you so much for being here. And Christina, thank you as always for your great input and your tips. I'm definitely going to try apple pancakes and also mixing up my stuff the night before. That's going to make.
Yeah. Thanks, Laura, for having me.
Thank you both.
Take care, Katie.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.